My high school guidance counselor destroyed my college dreams with one lie. She had no idea I was recording everything. Senior year, I had my entire future planned out. 4.2 Fidget student council president, captain of the debate team. I'd been working towards Stanford since freshman year, and my SAT scores finally came back high enough to make it realistic. My guidance counselor, Mrs. Henderson, had been helping me with applications since junior year. She seemed genuinely excited about my chances, always telling me how proud she was of my progress. You are exactly the kind of student Stanford is looking for, she'd say during our meetings. Freight and well-rounded, excellent academic record. 2 weeks before the early admission deadline, I scheduled an appointment to review my application essays one final time. I'd been polishing them for months, and Mrs. Henderson had been giving me feedback throughout the process. But when I walked into her office that Tuesday afternoon, something felt different. She was cold, almost hostile. She barely looked up when I sat down. I've been thinking about your Stanford application, she said, shuffling through papers on her desk. I really don't think you should submit it. My stomach dropped. What do you mean Stanford's extremely competitive? Your scores are good, but not exceptional. I'd hate to see you get your hopes up just to be disappointed. But you said my scores were strong enough? You helped me research their admission requirements, she shrugged. I was being encouraging. Sometimes students need motivation to try harder. But realistically, you are not Stanford material. I felt like I'd been punched. This was the same woman who'd been pushing me to apply to competitive schools for months. She'd even written one of my recommendation letters. What about USD or UZEL? I asked, trying not to cry. Also reaches, you should focus on schools more suited to your background. The way she said Raj made my skin crawl. My parents were immigrants who ran a small restaurant. We weren't wealthy, but we weren't asking for charity either. I'd earned every grade and test score myself. I think you'd be much happier at community college, she continued. You can always transfer later if you really want to pursue a 4-year degree. I left her office devastated. That night, I called my older cousin Maya, who'd graduated from Berkeley 3 years earlier. When I told her what happened, she got quiet. That's weird, Maya finally said. What exactly did she say about your background? I repeated the conversation word for word. Maya was silent for a long moment. You need to record your next conversation with her, she said. Something's not right about this. The next day, I made another appointment. Under the pretense of discussing community college options, I used my phone's voice recorder and left it running in my jacket pocket. Mrs. Henderson was back to her dismissive attitude when I asked why she'd changed her mind about my college potential. She got more specific. Students like you often struggle at elite universities, she said. The academic culture is very different from what you are used to. These schools expect a certain level of sophistication. What do you mean by students like me? First-generation college students, non-native English speakers. From working-class families, Stanford has very high expectations for social and cultural engagement. My parents spoke perfect English. I'd been born in California, but apparently none of that mattered to Mrs. Henderson. Wouldn't it be better to recommend schools where I'd fit in better? She continued. There are excellent community colleges with strong transfer programs. After I left her office, I listened to the recording 3 times. Then I sent it to Maya, who forwarded it to her friend who worked in college admissions. The next morning, I got a call from the principal's office, not because I was in trouble, but because Maya's friend had contacted the school district about discrimination in college counseling. Turns out Mrs. Henderson had a pattern. Over the past 5 years, she'd been steering students with non-European last names away from competitive colleges, regardless of their qualifications. The district had been investigating complaints, but needed concrete evidence. My recording was exactly what they needed. Within 2 weeks, Mrs. Henderson was placed on administrative leave. The district brought in a new counselor who reviewed all her recent cases, including mine. Your application is outstanding, the new counselor told me. I have no idea why anyone would discourage you from applying to Stanford. She helped me submit my application before the deadline, along with a supplemental letter explaining the circumstances. Stanford not only accepted me, but offered partial need-based financial aid. Mrs. Henderson was quietly transferred to a different district at the end of the school year. No public announcement